Hello and welcome to another episode of Discover with Spinati. Today's episode number 136. I'm talking about Stoicism, specifically with regards to the concept of controlling your mind. Why is that important? Because life is all about the mind. Yes, your brain is considered to be the most important thing of your entire body because without it, obviously, life wouldn't be the same. Now, your mind is, or your brain rather, is 3 pounds of mush. And this 3 pounds of mush is something that actually controls your actions. And what is life but a bunch of series of actions stuck together that control the outcome of your life? And rather, they influence the way that you feel. And that's what we're talking about today. We're talking about the concept of Stoicism with regards to how you can live a stoic life so that you can live a better life, so you can live a happier life. Now, Epictetus and the people that are the people that are associated with Stoicism, those people have dedicated their lives in order for others to understand how to properly live life. The reason why this is a really cool concept is because the mind really divulges into two things, or really it splits into two different ways. One is the actual mind, which is the intellect, the things that you can think of, the things that you ponder, your thoughts, the processes, and then your emotions, your feelings. And those two things make up, or they control, your action. In Stoicism has a concept of two things that you can control. And if you focus on those two things, then you are being a Stoic. Then you are living a life of true happiness. You're living a content life. But if, I'm not sure if I even pressed this properly. Yes, I did. But if you allow yourself to focus on things that you can't control, then you are actually not living a Stoic life. Now, again, I want to remind you that being a Stoic simply means being in line with how you want to live life. It's like a hack. It's like a hack to life so that you don't actually get sidetracked by things that are taking your focus away from how you should be leading your own life. And it comes down to these two things. It comes down to your mind and your actions. Okay, now I thought about this a lot. I thought about this quite a bit. And one of the things that I've been thinking about quite a bit is this controlling your mind, okay, or being focused on the control of your mind. Because as I just mentioned, Stoicism focuses on, or gets someone to focus on, the control of the mind and the actions of yourself, because those are the two things that you can actually control. Now, if you focus anything outside of that, if you focus on things that you can't control, like the weather, the government, the politics, what the squirrel did across the yard, how the flowers are looking, if it's sunny outside, et cetera, and you allow that to be your focus, then obviously it's hard for you to actually have a consistent type of lifestyle. And I started to think about this whole mind thing and thinking about, okay, well, how is it that someone can actually control their mind? And I'm like, well, I mean, your mind is full of chemicals, right? It's full of a lot of these hormones. A lot of these things are swimming around. They land on receptors, and these receptors send signals to, or allow signals to be sent down your different neurons. And then that controls the way that you feel. And what you feel then controls your actions, or so I thought. And then I started thinking about it. I said, okay, well, what happens if you feel a certain way? So now you have the emotional component of your mind, but then you listen to something that is inspirational, and automatically your feelings change. So you're like, okay, well, I mean, emotions then are not something that you can actually control. Like, you can't actually have a grip on your emotions. Emotions are going to be there. And so that to me was like a aha moment, right? I was like, okay. I was like, if your emotions are something that, can easily turn from bad to good and good to bad, like in an instant, right? Like you watch something motivational on YouTube, for instance, and then automatically you feel amazing. Whereas before you felt like crap, right? And that feeling thing is that thing that Stoicism says that's not something you should be focused on. Yes, it's there, but it's not something you can control, right? You can't control that. What you can control, and this is where I'm getting to, what you can't control is the mind aspect, which is the intellect, the logic, right? It's like, okay, and this is it, by the way. So you have your feelings or whatever. The thing is that what Epictetus and others say is that for you to actually acknowledge the reactions that are happening in your mind. So to acknowledge it and then to say to yourself, okay, well, I see that the chemicals are allowing me to feel this a certain way. That's cool. All right. But what do I have to do? Right. So that's what the Stoic is that, okay, if you focus on what do I have to do, and then the action then causes you to have a different feeling. Okay, so it's not feelings dictate action, rather it's actions dictate the feelings. And that's where it comes down to. So you have two things that control you or can control you in your life. You have your mind and then you have your emotions. And both of them can lead to a different type of action. Now the problem is that if you're focused on your mind, then you have an action that is consistent because your mind is consistent, right? It's not swayed by, how the weather is or how how your dog, woke up this morning or whatever. It's not swayed by that. It's kind of like, okay, well, it's like a program, right? So you're focused on things that you're like, okay, well, I have to do these things. So it's consistent. For instance, like going to the gym, right? So I go to the gym every single morning, irrespective of whether I'm tired or not, or if I slept well, so on and so forth. If I ate well the previous day, I still go to the gym. But if you allow your emotions to then dictate your actions, then what happens is that some days you're going to feel like, oh, you're going to feel great because maybe you slept better, maybe you ate something that's good, maybe you didn't eat junk food the night before. And so then, you feel a lot better. And so then now you go to the gym, but then if you ate, garbage the day before, now you're waking up not feeling so great, and you allow that to dictate your action, then obviously you're not going to live a consistent life. And the problem is that if you don't have a consistent lifestyle, right, like consistent actions, then what happens is that you won't, like, your feelings will be all over the place, right? Your emotions will be all over the place. And so now you're being controlled by something that doesn't even have a consistency in it, right? There's no consistency in the emotion. And so then you end up going this spiral, like a direction, kind of like a dog chasing its tail, where you have no direction at all. So that's it. Like, it's actually that simple. So Stoicism is about controlling your mind, and controlling your mind leads to a control of an action. So although Epictetus says that the two things that you can control are your mind and your actions, I would say, and I'm obviously no philosopher, but I would say that really it comes down to you controlling your mind. Because once you control your mind, then your actions are automatically controlled. But if you don't control your mind, then obviously your actions are not controlled, and then you end up in that spiral. Anyway, so that's it for today. Hope you live a very stoic life. Have yourself a fantastic day, and as always, keep smiling.